Welcome to the Leader Mentality Show with Rob Clemens. We are here on scene at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina at the Myrtle Beach Business Center. And I'm here with a guy that a lot of you know and love. His name is Justin Ferraro with Rivertown Property Inspections. Justin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Man, well, it's always good to have you on. And today we have a treat because Justin, who has built a fine business over the years, and we're going to get back to that in a little bit, but he's a business owner, so he can relate with a lot of us in this industry about what it is about when you're trying to create values in a company as it grows. And a lot of us, as we start a small company, it's just us together. You know, you might be a single person or you and a couple of friends. And then it's time to grow and you need to make sure that you get those values out to your whole organization. So Justin's going to talk a little bit about values today, and we're looking forward to that, man.
I can say that I've owned multiple businesses over the last 10 years, and the values are the most important item, you know, that needs to be that needs to be the foundation of your company.
Absolutely. And obviously finances are important and salesmanship's important, but at the end of the day, if you don't have these values put together, you're always going to struggle, and you guys have done a great job with that. Well, before we dive in, I want to talk about a little bit about Coastal Carolina. You know, I'm a coastal grad, and have you ever heard of the Teal Collective?
I've heard of it.
Okay. Well, they sent me this the other day. I had contributed to the Teal Collective at CCU, and this is one of their events. We've all heard of the NIL and how college students are now in a position where they can maybe make some money if they've been working hard at things. And the Teal Collective was a way to raise money for our coastal athletes so we can keep them where they need to be over here at Coastal Carolina. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Man.
Coastal is the best.
Well, Coastal's a beautiful campus. We got a great team. And I just thought it was cool. They sent me this shirt. I didn't ask for it, but you donate the Teal Collective, you might get yourself a shirt too. So anyway, check that out sometime. Are you jealous?
I thought it was just you. I didn't think you donated.
They literally just gave me one shirt and nobody else. They were trying. No, but well, Justin, excited to have you on the show. I know all of your story, but how did you start Rivertown?
Well, I started it about 10 years ago. Started with $300 in my pocket and just really grinded and created something. You know, went from building it from the ground up, you know, to becoming the largest home inspection company in the area.
Man.
And at the time, I actually had two different businesses, and I was, well, multiple ones. But the main two, you know, were growing so fast that I had to make a decision between which one I wanted, whether construction or home inspections. And just because RPI had the right systems in place, we decided to run with that. Yeah,
well, I mean, I know that when you talk about Rivertown property inspections, I've been to some of your events. I mean, you've had Thomas Blackwell come out and talk to the group, and you know, I love Thomas. Oh yeah, see, we both love Thomas and the same. Well, Thomas Blackwell, if you haven't read his book, The Liberty of Our Language Revealed, a lot of great tips. I still use a lot of them on the show, and he has so many good stories. So shout out to Thomas. Go check his book out. But how did you guys first start doing that event that you do that you brought him to?
Well, we've had him in town, I think about 3 or 4 times now, and I mean we get amazing feedback whenever we have them come in. But we were actually part of a mastermind group ourselves. You know, we were out getting coached, and we're traveling the country. You know, just hungry for more knowledge, you know, more self growth, more business growth, and that's where we met Thomas, was through our mastermind group, and we ended up bringing him out here. And you know, we put on events for agents and other business owners, and because, you know, when you're running a business, it's not positivity every single day.
Right.
Sometimes you have to create that momentum of positivity to, you know, push through whatever hurdle you're dealing with.
That's really interesting, because I think you know some of my stuff. One of my acronyms, and you're going to share your acronym today about values, mine is PEP. And I always say, everybody that works for me, I want them to have professionalism, enthusiasm, and positivity. And positivity, the very definition of it to me is when you're going through and you've gone to 4 straight appointments that you have not sold, it's like number 5 though is going to be the sell, and you have to keep that, and we as leaders have to continue to inspire that. So that's part of what got you into doing that event.
Yeah, and that was part of our adventure.
Yeah,
you know? I mean, I went out and I was knocking on doors just to try to gain business for a home inspection company. You know, I'm out doing the home inspections and the marketing and answering the phones and, you know, most of it happening while I'm in the crawl space.
Have you ever answered a sales call in the crawl space?
Yeah, with a legal pad so I could write down their information.
And probably some creepy crawlies right around you.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That's a talent, man. You have to really maintain focus when that's going on.
Yeah, but I was in the military, and I did a lot of low crawling. Push-ups and low crawling. So
I bet.
That actually helped me, with the process, or prep me through the process of becoming a home inspector.
Man, I can imagine. Well, let's go to the $300 guy. You said you start with $300 in your pocket, which is powerful to me, because we in America, a lot of times you look at the business successes and go, I want to do that. But you don't realize that you're either going to start with a boatload of money to get this thing going, or the other way that you'll see people do it is to start it just grinding from day one. So tell us what $300 you looked like years ago, and what was your first thing that you did to really try to stimulate your business?
Well, back then it might as well have been $300,000.
Right? Fair enough.
$300, I mean, it's just a matter of making it stretch.
Yeah.
You got to determine what do you market in, what don't you market in. I mean, I was getting calls on a weekly basis from Yellow Pages trying to advertise with them.
Yellow Pages, so we're going back a minute now, right?
So it's been a great ride, but I mean, I couldn't tell you how many doors I knocked on, real estate offices, and they already had their home inspector.
Right.
They were set. So we heard no a lot, and we just had to really keep staying positive and getting over those hurdles.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting point. You talk about hearing no a lot, and you keep persevering. Mm-hmm. Perseverance. One thing I found is common of everybody that's come on the show that has had a level of success. Perseverance is, whether it's part of your actual corporate values or whether it's just ingrained in you, that is the key. You remember that one, you'll see that image sometimes where it'll show the one guy and he's got the pickaxe and he stops short of the gold, the other guy keeps going. That's kind of what a business owner looks like.
It does, because you gotta balance that out and many times make that decision, where am I spending my money? Mm-hmm. Am I spending and I'm getting that ROI? Or am I going to keep going with this, contract or agreement that I have and keep spending the money and not see the ROI? As a business owner, sometimes it's just a guessing game. More or less guessing game. I'm really big into data. I like to see the numbers, to make actual decisions on if it's working or if it's not. And sometimes you have to cut that cord if it's not.
I tell you what, it's a lot more real to you where you're spending your money when there's 300 versus 300,000.
Oh yeah.
You'll really know what you're investing in. Talk about the military. How did that prepare you for your career in the private life, I guess we should say?
I've always believed, in the military, if there's no risk, there's no reward. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I heard very recently that we used to hear all the time, if not me, then who? Mm-hmm. And so I was a combat engineer, and we went from blowing things up to building and inspecting homes. So the exact opposite.
What was more fun, by the way?
Blowing things up.
We
had so much fun blowing stuff up.
Right.
It's just a whole group of guys hanging out in the field, for a month at a time, just on a daily basis, doing house raids and blowing up vehicles and shooting guns.
And by the way, camaraderie will never be higher than it is when you're doing that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard, but that camaraderie, many times is like a drug. Mm-hmm. You're chasing it, and I spent many years chasing after that, going to different jobs. And it was very hard to find, so that's something that we've tried to implement into our company. And we've got a solid team, and the camaraderie is just, it's great.
I love that. By the way, thank you for your service in the military, man. I've known you for a long time, and I think I've told you that before, but I'm so thankful of what our veterans in this country have done. And you're right, a lot of the times they get out and they're used to the structure of the military and the camaraderie of the military and the rank system of the military, and then you get into the private life and you're trying to figure out what are you going to do. This guy's the real deal, man. So well done. Hopefully people can see your story and be inspired by it. That's really cool.
Yeah, the story goes a long way, and I believe, we were one of the first ones into Baghdad back in 2003.
Wow.
And I firmly believe that God allows you to go through different situations in life so you can use it as a testimony to help other people succeed.
Oh boy, that's absolutely right. Well, that's what you always want to pass on, and so that's what this show's about, and thank you for that. One other thing I want to talk about before we get into your value system is at one point you and I had talked about a book that was special to you and Elizabeth as the business owners, and you talked about a book called Traction.
Yep.
How did that change your business?
That really helped us. Really helped us form the systems and the internal organizations within the company.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a company's like a watch. You know, there's a lot of moving parts, and all the wheels have to move at the same time in order to keep that watch going. So I'm married to my partner, you know, my business partner. So it's not easy.
I was going to say, I know.
But it's fun. Traction has allowed us to create, you know, like she has her lane and I have my lane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm the visionist in the company. I know what's going to take place in 5, 10, 15 years from now. And I know how we're going to get there through the steps. Now, anything that changes in the company that has to do with vision, you know, I come up with it, and Elizabeth will take it, and she does a fantastic job just implementing everything. So you have a visionist and you have an implementer.
Right.
And if both of you are working on the same page, and those
That's
systems,
tough to beat.
you know, SOPs, I mean, just the whole nine, and it helps you gain that traction you know, as you're going through business.
Very cool. So that's a book we can recommend for sure.
Yeah.
You know, when you're coming up with your visions, does it involve smoke and you're seeing into the future? Is that how that works?
Not really.
Okay, well, I had an image in my head.
Sometimes my vision's like this big, and it really needs to be this big.
Rain it down.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a part of the visionary role, though. You got to look at all these things and pick the one you're going to go with.
Yeah, it's hard because it can be a huge vision, and you need a real narrow one to make it, you know, succeed. And sometimes it's just a real narrow vision, and you need it to be bigger.
Yeah.
So that's why I love whiteboards.
Yeah.
Whiteboard is, if I'm at my whiteboard, everybody knows not to bother me because I'm in my zone.
Okay, all right. Well, got you. So new, you know, this is one for future employees of Rivertown Property. You ever see this guy at the whiteboard?
Yep.
Don't get fired immediately and go over. Not that he would do that. But well, that's very cool. Well, we talked about today you coming on to share your values and how you built them with your company. And I think that's important. I really would love to hear more about this and to apply it to our guest, because I think a lot of companies are out there and you start at the $300 and you start building out. You build this enterprise, but you never really realize that you're not passing on your values to your people. And one of my examples of that is I sometimes picture when you go to a big restaurant and the waitresses or waiters or the hostess sits you down and doesn't say have a nice meal, and you're thinking, I don't know if Johnny Caraba started his business just with the same level, and I'm using that as an example.
Yeah.
Caraba's lovely people, of course, but I'm using that to say it feels like sometimes the values don't get perfectly passed down throughout the organization. So you're going to tell us today about how you built your company values and what they are, and so I'm looking forward to hearing that.
If it's not being passed down, it's because you're not being transparent enough. You know? And that was something I really struggled with. You know, it was because it's a trust factor with your team. Now, when you have the right team, it makes it a lot easier.
So you got to make the right hires.
You do,
right?
Well, you know, it all starts with the interviewing process.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the steps that you take to make sure that you implement, you know, the right person in the right seat at the right time.
How many interviews do you think you go through to hire the right employee?
I would say per employee, probably about 15.
Really? Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty solid.
Yeah, because a lot of people want to be home inspectors, but they're not licensed with the state.
Oh, okay.
You know, so we have to take that into consideration, because if they take the test 3 times and they don't pass it, they have to wait 12 months.
Oh boy. So have you ever had somebody you like so much that they failed the test 3 times, but you still thought they were going to be great?
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be great. They failed the test 3 times, and so they had to wait 12 months.
Did you hire them at the end of that 12 months when they passed the test? Or
No.
they may have given up at that point.
Yeah.
Well, we're back to perseverance, right?
Yep.
So, well, let's get into that list. So, Justin, these values, I am really excited about hearing them, and you're going to share them with us today.
Yep.
So, I understand it to be an acronym. So, let's start there and then dive right in.
Well, we firmly believe that, you know, you want to make an impact on the community, and that's what our values, you know, stand for. The acronym, you know, we got integrity, memorable, We've got purpose, appreciate, credibility, and team.
Wow. By the way, I like it. Impact in the community.
Yep.
It's got to start there, okay?
Yep. And that, for the longest time, we were building these companies, and we thought that the values were solely for the website. We're solely for the public. We just need to put something up there, and so they can see, we have values. Well, we didn't realize that the values were actually more geared towards us and our team, the internal organization of it. And if you're passing down your values to your team, then they understand what your expectations are and what type of results you're looking for in them, as a person.
Well, that's powerful in itself. Don't ever use your value system as a marketing slogan only.
Nope.
Every employee should be able to tell you what the values are. And you probably, if I had to guess, and I've never been to your office, I do need to make the trek over there. You probably use some visual cues. I mean, how do you do this?
All right. So if you come by our office, we have a massage chair.
Oh.
So come check it out.
I have been a little tight lately. Okay, I got you.
We have our team will stop, in between inspections and use it. The office staff, if they get a stressful, phone call or something, they'll go jump in, and that's what it's for.
Do you ever do your team meeting when you are actually in the massage chair and you're? It's made me hard.
All right, guys, this is what I expect. Oh, that feels good. No, we haven't, not yet.
Right.
But values really go a long way, and then we also realized that we weren't being transparent with our values. Once we put it into place, and Traction really taught us, to use those values, and it wasn't an overnight thing. It takes a while to develop your values on what it truly reflects on you as a person, but also on your whole organization as a business, as a company.
Yeah, absolutely. So the I, let's start from there.
So you got integrity. We do training with our team every Tuesday morning. We go over these values and integrity. I mean, you do the right thing no matter what. If my mom always used to tell me, you do the right thing even when nobody's looking.
Absolutely.
That is integrity. And if you build that integrity with the public eye, then if there is an issue, they just know that you're going to take care of it. You're going to handle it. You're going to, work on it in a fair manner.
Justin, I love this. I know that a lot of people who get into business, they learn from somebody that doesn't have integrity. And that's a fact, right? So you have to deprogram them from the time they come to Rivertown. Now, hopefully you've already hired that right person.
Yeah.
But sometimes I've had this speech with an actual employee of mine where I sit down and I say, I don't know what your old companies were like, but if you have an option and there's a best way to do it and then a cheaper way to do it, I'm always going to ask you to do it the better way.
Yeah.
And that's something that's important to me, for you to know. So I love the integrity angle, and I'm sure you've seen this a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So memorable. It is, you want to give a memorable experience. In our industry, it'd be with real estate agents and with clients. And, we want to make sure, when we finish the inspection, we let the sellers know we treated your house as if it was ours. We put the breakers back, how they were. We put the HVAC thermostat, back to the setting it was on.
Nice.
We turned off all the lights. So we have this checklist, and we leave it behind. So when the sellers come back home, they feel a little bit more comfortable about having these strangers in their home.
You actually leave the checklist in the house somewhere.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yep.
I can see how that would make me comfortable. It's never really comfortable to have somebody else in your house. So just to have that little peace of mind, that goes a long way. So that's being memorable. I like it.
Yeah. So the other one would be purpose. Everything you do it with purpose. Don't half-heart the job.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another word. Half-heart.
yeah, half-heart. That makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, you don't go in and you don't half-ass the job.
Right.
That's what it really comes down to. And if we're again, our industry, we're doing home inspections. If somebody comes in and halves the job, well, guess what? That could be an HVAC system that needs to be replaced, or a rafter that needs to be fixed by an engineer. And nobody wants to purchase a home and then find out that they've got all these issues afterwards, and it becomes just a never-ending, expense.
You just said something that I think is important, though, for all companies to be telling their employees, which is when you talk about purpose, you said that one bad move by an employee, one time when you do something lacking the purpose, you might cost a job, not just for yourself, but also for all the people around you. Yeah. So that might be the next thing that you guys could have been doing that didn't happen because one person came out with purpose.
Yep.
Okay, I got you.
So, you got to appreciate everything that comes your way. Mm-hmm. Your bad day may be somebody else's, amazing day. Mm-hmm. We are so blessed in America compared to a lot of other countries. And so it may be a situation where there may be an issue going on, but if you appreciate everything that comes your way, you're staying positive about it, mm-hmm. and you're still pushing through with that hurdle.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me as well. I think that one of the things that concerns me whenever we get into employees is they have to understand that as a cohesive unit, that they're working together, they're affecting each other, and at the end of the day, how can I bring something to the table to improve the company, right? Yep. So how do you install that though? I mean, how are you doing that?
A lot of, when we do our training program, mm-hmm. We have a couple inspectors that go home. If they run into something and they're not sure, about, they'll come home and they'll research it. Mm-hmm. Then they bring it on Tuesday morning and they share it with the whole group. Okay. And it really gets everybody, enthralled in, what's going on. I want to be able to come in and I want to be able to have something to offer of value, to the other members on the team. So it creates a cohesiveness of the team.
Okay, got it. I like that a lot. All right. Cool.
Credibility. I'm huge with credibility mm-hmm. because of education. It takes about, when somebody gets certified by a third party for home inspections, they then have to take the state exam. Well, once they take the state exam, then we'll hire them. Mm-hmm. And then they go through a 4-month training program.
Wow.
And they have to continually do education. Mm-hmm. Now, if somebody doesn't want to do that, then we don't really have room on the team for them.
Right.
We want people that get it, they want it, and they have the ability to be able to bring it in and share with others and do their job like it's supposed to be done.
Right. So your credibility is something where you're able to show the customer a confidence level in you just by your pure great ability that you have. One thing I think you and I have talked about before behind the scenes is that sometimes when you get the new person at the company, mm-hmm. credibility is already a hurdle for them, especially the younger they are.
It takes time.
It really does, because now people are looking at you, fair or not, and they're saying, what do you know? You go, well, I've been doing property inspections for 6 months. Yeah. It makes it hard. So I think part of my strategy, and I'd love to hear you talk to this, is don't put too much pressure on yourself either. You're going to build all these credentials, like mm-hmm. you said, but it's beautiful when you can tell about the team and the fact that, well, look, I've been doing this for 1 year now, or I've got my designations after 1 year. But the great thing is if I don't know the answer, I've got a whole team, including an owner or a manager or whatever that is, that I can rely on that is a specialist in that field. Is that kind of how you guys do it? Or
it is. When it comes to credibility, the more education you get, mm-hmm. the more credible you become.
Right.
We actually had a situation where an agent called and she was not happy with our services and not happy with the inspector that went out. And at the end of the day, the inspector was correct in everything that they said.
Wow.
The problem was the agent was listening to the buyer's father mm-hmm. instead of listening to the professionals that they hired.
Right.
And, so we use that as, this is a credible source. And they said they didn't have enough experience because they'd only been inspecting for, say, about, I think, about 1.5 years, 2 years. Well, they have to understand when somebody starts an inspection company, they may do 1 or 2 a week, mm-hmm. For quite a while. When somebody starts with us, with their first year, they're getting 400 inspections under their belt.
Gosh, man.
So, credibility, that goes a long way, and I can speak to that.
Well, that helps in itself when that customer, and customers will do this, especially in construction, especially in real estate. How long have you been doing this, Chris, or whoever it is? And then when you come out and you're like, 1 year, it doesn't sound very impressive. But, well, I've actually done 400 inspections at this point. That goes a long way. So I like that a lot. Yeah.
And the last one's team, and that's what you were talking about, where if you go out and you what you do today affects everybody around you tomorrow. So with all of our inspectors sitting around the table, if one goes out and just keeps messing up jobs, well, those agents on those jobs are not going to be using us. The clients are not going to, recommend us. And so everybody at that table, it affects them because the agent's not going to call in home inspections. And our job is to make sure everybody brings home a check every week to feed their families.
I like that, and that's purpose to tie that back in. How do you build teamwork amongst the company in the sense of, you say it's important, totally agree. How do you breed that with your employees?
So one would be the training, because our team, when they leave the house, they go straight to the inspection. I'm not a micromanager, so I don't need them to come and check in with me. I look at the results and I look at the quality of that person. So the weekly meetings is kind of like, that's where we get together for a couple hours, create camaraderie, go over training. But also we do quarterly events with the team members, and then every other one with the family. Their family can come as well.
Very nice.
Yeah, so it gives them an opportunity to work together, get to know each other. And same with, we got staff in the office and we have staff out in the field. Well, it brings them together and allows them more cohesive.
To bring the team together. What's your favorite team building event you've done?
I would probably say the escape room.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a huge fan of escape rooms, but I liked it because there was two different. We broke everybody up in two different teams. It's actually boys against girls.
Oh boy,
and
keep
boys
it traditional.
Oh
wow, well we get lucky once in a while.
It was a whole bunch of home inspectors. And then you had the office staff that was trying to solve problems. But they all came together and they were helping each other solve these problems to move on to the next room. So that would be one of my favorite events that we did.
I think so. One of the cool things, and I've actually never done an escape room, but I've read about this as a team building mechanism. I think it's great to see how people handle stress and how people work together when they've got a conundrum, because sometimes people handle stress by just closing in. So when you're talking about the ultimate team builder, it's like, hey, can you get together? And I think any good team building always involves, if you can get done at the end and say, hey, what did we learn today? That's great team building. If you're going out and play bowling, well, how can you finish that and say, what did we learn today? But if you can make it work, then do it. So
yeah, it's fun being a business owner. I think that if you find a way to leverage the relationship with other business owners. I have competitors, local competitors that I get together with and have lunch, and we help them, structure things in their company.
Right on.
We answer questions. We want to see them grow. There's so much business out there, but you leverage those relationships, and organically it just makes your company grow at the same time.
That's powerful. I love the fact that you say that you can still get along with local businesses doing the same thing. You can't take all the work yourself, but you just hope for a higher bar, that the people who are doing it have the same ethical and quality credentials that you do, or maybe not as good as yours, but at least in the ballpark.
Yeah. You have your fair share, just like everybody around here. There's some competitors. I have a saying that I love my competitors. Because of the ridiculous things that they do, it makes us just look better.
Sometimes you can love that.
But then there's some that's out there that they're actually they're there to have pretty much the same values as you, and they're trying to support a family as well and offer a good service, and they want to make an impact on the community too. So we want to help them.
We should embrace that.
Yeah,
I like that.
100%.
Totally agree. Well, Justin, I appreciate you sharing impact with us.
Thank you.
It's great to have you on. By the way, what's up with next year? What do you have coming up?
We're just going to break more records. We're the first inspection company to ever hit 2,200 inspections in a single year in our area. And, so next year we're going to break that record.
That's a lot of inspections. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Always a great fun, man. And I know I'll catch you behind the scenes. And for you guys out there that are listening, hope you soak this in, really listen to something from a successful business owner. Justin, we'll see you next time, all right?
Yes, sir.
And thank you guys for listening to the Leader Mentality Show. Please make sure to like us and share us on Facebook. And we'll see you guys all next time.